Alright, welcome back to another Embrace Destiny video. Thank you so much for clicking that link and joining us. Today we're going to be talking about a number of things, but before we get too far, I want to bring up an important point that affects all of us. Net neutrality. So maybe you've heard about it, maybe you've not, maybe you've seen some videos or tweets or other things out there. Basically, net neutrality is a big deal, and they are in the United States. They're trying to push some legislation this week that would really change the way that the internet would function. It would, think of it currently as an open road with many offshoots, and in the future they would want to have more tolled highways, different auto routes of the internet where you'd have to pay for different kinds of coverage, and it's not really good. So I'll post some links down below, but whether you're American or not, I would definitely suggest writing in to the FCC, calling the senators if you are American, yeah, maybe check out, I'm going to try and link John Oliver's video below, which is both humorous and really entertaining. It's from over a year ago, but the same points apply, and really folks, we are still in the wonderful frontier of the internet, and if we fail to speak up now, things are going to change for the worse, so please do. Anyway, with that point of business over and done with, let's talk about this week. So, unlike the footage that you're seeing here, but like the thumbnail in the beginning of this video, the Iron Banner is back. So Lord Saladin's in the tower, you can go talk to him. Now, the changes to the way that the Iron Banner specifically will work in terms of its loot system, they haven't been implemented yet. Bungie has spoken about them a little bit, they've heard our concerns, but they haven't really changed it yet. Some of the Crucible matches have changed. You probably have already noticed that outside of the Iron Banner, so things like control matches requiring fewer points and stuff like that. Those changes are there. But the Iron Banner still works pretty much the same. You play matches, whether you win or lose, you get tokens. You turn those tokens into Saladin for a chance to get armor and weapons. I'm not sure what's going on, but I didn't actually happen to get any armor this time. I turned in maybe 3 packages. You get basically 1 package's worth just from doing the 3 challenges today. Or yesterday, actually, whenever you do it this week. And I turned in about 3 packages, and I didn't receive a single piece of armor. Everything was weapon-based. I'm still trying to get that helmet, so I don't know what's going on, why I wasn't able to get it. I'm not really that concerned. A lot of people are making complaints about it, justifiably so. It's kind of a, a lottery on top of a lottery on top of a broken kind of system. So I'm looking forward to the changes that they're going to make, and hopefully future Iron Banners will be more fun. I definitely think they should bring back the light level advantages. So if you're new to the Iron Banner, to Destiny, basically in Destiny 1, the Iron Banner and the Trials of Osiris were the only Crucible modes where your light and your level actually mattered. So if you were a higher light level, you were tougher and you hit harder than if you were a lower light level. Whereas most of the Crucible actually smooths you out. So if it's your first day or your 700th day going into a regular Crucible match, it doesn't really matter in terms of how hard you hit. But for some reason, the Iron Banner in Destiny 2 has been not like that. It's been completely flattened out, and I'm not sure why. I think it's probably to make it more accessible to new players, but unfortunately, it's alienating a lot of the community. So, as you can see here, we got some gameplay of this week's Nightfall. We're going back to the Pyramidion. I've been really enjoying the guided games mechanic within Destiny. So yeah, basically I've been loading up. I've been going in as a seeker. I've had to wait some time between 5 and 7 minutes to get matched up with clans. It's been a bit of a hassle, but it's not too bad. I mean, I know that there's plenty of looking for group message boards both on and off the Xbox where I'm currently playing, but I like guided games. I think it's an interesting idea, and I hope that more features will be added in that can make it even more useful and rewarding. So, and what's good is if you wait those first 5 minutes or whatever, and then you get matched with a clan that you don't really think you're gonna like, you can ask for a next clan. And in my experience, once I've waited that first initial 7 minutes, after I get matched with a clan I don't like or I don't really want to join, maybe all of their stuff is in German and I don't happen to speak German, so that could be difficult. I found that usually I get matched up with another clan within maybe 20 seconds after that, and again and again and again. So it does seem like you are kind of at the front of the queue, as they say. Pyramidion this week is 0 Hour and Torrent, so basically all of your abilities recharge faster and you cannot extend the time through anomalies or Vex gates or anything like that. So I actually found it quite easy. I did the Nightfall twice already, had pretty good matchmaking here in Guided Games, and yeah, we kind of just flew through it. So I mean, it was tough, there was a lot of resurrecting, but yeah, didn't seem to be too much of a problem. I don't know, I found last week's Nightfall a little bit more challenging, trying to make sure, we found all those anomalies. So if you didn't happen to catch it, earlier today, Bungie did their Destiny, I don't know what to call it, their Twitch stream. Basically, in the weeks leading up to the expansion for the Curse of Osiris, which is coming December 5th, Bungie usually releases a bunch of they stream. I'm trying to find a way to say that properly. Anyway, they revealed a bunch of stuff on Twitch earlier, and this week's was about the spaces that we will be exploring. Next week's, for example, is going to be about the gear that you can unlock. Now, I did not happen to tune into the stream. I was just busy doing other stuff with the time zone difference between France and Pacific Coast. I just didn't happen to tune in, but I did catch a few other people talking about it, and I did see some footage of the Guardian got hit by the Vex lasers there. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, we're going to Mercury. So in Destiny 1, you could go to Mercury for a Crucible map or two, or for the Lighthouse at the end of the Trials of Osiris. Now the Lighthouse is going to be open for all. It's going to be a social space, and there's going to be the Infinite Forest, so it's another place. Now the videos and stuff that I saw didn't really go into detail about the Infinite Forest. Maybe it was on the stream, I don't know. But they only really showed the Lighthouse and the kind of the public event that exists outside of that. So, early impressions from what I did see, it looks interesting. I mean, it's cool. We're going to be on Mercury, we're going to be at the Lighthouse, which I never got to go there in Destiny 1, so it's going to be interesting for me to see it. I'm looking forward to that. And the Infinite Forest sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's going to change and permutate depending on, I don't know, our progress, depending on how far we are in the story. I don't know. It sounds really cool. But unfortunately, there's been already a lot of negative reviews, negative impressions from people out there. Now, to be fair, I didn't see the stream, and most of the comments I've been reading are on Twitter, so even with the expanded character limits, it's kind of hard to get the full, full coverage of their concerns. But from what it seems like they're just a lot of the people who are voicing these complaints, they're the ones who play a lot, and they're the ones who feel that there's no reason to come back. They feel like there's nothing in Destiny 2 that is bringing them in, keeping them here. And it's really unfortunate, because I understand how they feel, in a way. I play quite a lot. I play several times a week, and I try to make these videos every week. And most of my friends aren't online, and that's usually just scheduling issues. But I also know that they've felt less of an interest in coming back. They've done all the things, and I mentioned this in my last video, and I try not to be too repetitive, but it is an issue. I think Bungie has made great strides in one half of the problem of Destiny 1. If I had to boil down, if I had to pick two big problems with Destiny 1, it's that there wasn't enough to do, and there wasn't enough motivation to do what there was. And I think they've made a great stride in the first problem. They've said, you know, always something to do, and always a world that draws you in, and people to play with. Now that they've made some partnerships, and they've maybe gotten better at just releasing the cadence of their own product, I feel like there's more to do. Now, the people who play a lot are going to argue with me, but I do feel that there's more content. There seem to be fewer strikes at the moment, but again, I didn't really start with Destiny year 1. I came in year 2, so... But there seems to be a lot to do. There's strikes, there's raids, there's Crucible playlists, there's adventures, lost sectors, everything. And I think they're getting better at just putting more in the game. We're getting an update soon. We're getting more stuff. People are complaining it's only 2 strikes of 1 lost sector, stuff like that. But again, I think it's a bit unfair. I think Bungie is doing a better job, and they're expanding what there is to do in this game at a nice pace. But the second half of the problem is people complaining about there's no reason for them to come back. A lot of people cite the grinding for weapons and armor and the perfect set of gear as the main reason for coming back and doing strikes over and over again in Destiny 1, and that's probably the case. But personally, I think it's a little bit lackluster to have a game that only brings you back through repetition just for the lottery chance of finding the right gear. But I can understand where people's concerns lie in that regard. So mechanically, there's been talk about not a lot of end game. Basically, you can collect every weapon of each type is the same. Got a little bit of framing issue there. I'm recording this footage actually from my new Xbox One X console, and it's generally a lot better at handling frame rate issues. Public events and stuff don't really slow down or glitch out. But yeah, it seemed to slow down a little bit there. I'm not sure. Could be the recording medium as well. Anyway, so mechanically there's little end game, and then lore-wise or emotionally, motivationally, there's also not a lot there either. Spoiler alert, but the whole aspect of Destiny 2 was the Red War, the Red Legion war. We won that, and so far everybody's been just pushing out into the other explorable areas, which is great. But I'm just wondering if the expansions are going to build on that at all. I mean, this Curse of Osiris does seem like we're going to get more about Osiris, obviously, and more from the story and the lore of the game as to what the Vex are, what they're doing, what they're capable of. But I'm concerned that we're going to get an instance where, Curse of Osiris will just be, there's some strikes and you can go to Mercury. Great. I feel that Destiny is a universe that needs to evolve with its players, with the story that we encounter. So I really hope that there are universe consequences or developments based on the Curse of Osiris and the next expansion, whatever Rasputin themed expansion we get. Yeah, I seriously hope that it sounds weird to say that I hope there are consequences, but I mean, I've made a lot of comparisons between what Destiny could be and what Guild Wars 2 was. But I remember some of those big world events where an entire social space was invaded by an enemy, and you could not go there at all, and you just couldn't. You had to basically go around, and once the next expansion came out, the story presumed that you pushed in, you defeated the enemy, and now you could return to that social space, but you had to rebuild. And if that sounds familiar, well, that's kind of what we've got with the tower, where the social space was ruined, we couldn't go there, we were now back, and hopefully we see the tower as a place that... You'll see me throw several grenades during this fight and miss each one. I mean, even the bad guy looks like he's, you know, the mind is looking like between his legs to see where that grenade went. But yeah, you know, we're seeing a little bit of decoration and such in the tower whenever the faction rally happens. The flags change, okay, but I sincerely hope that that we have more development here. I mean, in Destiny 1, whenever the Taken came in, all patrol areas became afflicted and affected by the Taken. Even if you were doing early missions over again, you would sometimes run into the Taken in the Cosmodrome. So yeah, I like a world that evolves, where things that happen have a recurring theme, they have a recurring impact on the story. So I don't know, we'll see. Not sure that Bungie is going to be big enough to kill a character unless it's Osiris himself. And that's not necessarily what you need for an expanded, you know, a universe that feels alive and changes. But yeah, it's certainly a big design choice or aspect. Almost bit the dust there. So I saw some suggestions out there in the community recently that I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about while we have a few minutes. One idea that stood out to me was one that I made before, which was the idea of escort missions. So they were saying, you know, have it where another event in the patrollable spaces, where people calling out on the radio for help. There's no waypoint to tell you where they are, you just have to find them. And once you find them, you have to escort them to a location and then defend them, and help fight off the Fallen or the Vex or the Fallen. I think this is a great idea. I've been pushing more for more developed, as I said, more developed areas. And I mean, in Destiny 2, the European Dead Zone, Titan, they especially looked like they have been lived in, but not anymore, obviously, because of the recent threats. But it would be great to have these civilians that you have to escort. You see them in the farm, you see them in the tower, and yeah, I just think it would be another aspect of the game that would be great. It would give you more motivation, you know, because right now we're just shooting stuff, but there's not really a need for it. There's more of an emotional motivation there if you have people that you actually have to protect. Another thing that they could do, I'm not really sure how, and unfortunately I don't think we'll ever get this, because Bungie is a very specific type of community and game that they develop. But in Destiny 1, we met a character named Lady Ephrodite. She was an Iron Lord, and she talked about how she basically left being an Iron Lord to go live out at the Outer Rim, and the outer edge of the solar system, and I don't know, just survive. And she spoke a little bit about the you know, about how guardians out there, people out there learn to use their light in different ways. She seemed very mysterious and kind of pacifistic about what that meant. And like I said, I don't think we're going to get anything like that, but I think it would be really interesting if we had more ways to use our light rather than shooting stuff, throwing grenades. Maybe you can incorporate some kind of, you know, tower defense aspect. Maybe you can incorporate some kind of like fort building aspect. You know, how neat would it be if maybe we get these patrol missions and we're escorting people through, and maybe in another expansion humanity is able to push out a little bit, and maybe we now have outposts, which are just basically waypoints that we can connect to. And then maybe in another expansion, provided we, you know, beat the enemy back, maybe what we get is an outpost, a village or something, that is small, and, you know, it frequently gets attacked, but it's there. And you see the worlds grow and change, and new places that we have to explore, and maybe half of the city is full of people and the other half is still untamed, and we still have to go in there. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll ever, oh, that poor Titan. Not sure if we'll ever get that kind of game, because it's a really ambitious thing and there's a lot that's kind of outside of Destiny's wheelhouse, but I certainly hope with the expansions that are coming, I'm hoping for two things. It's a little early to get a lot of the quality of life improvements that we've all been seeking. Basically, all of the suggestions that we've been making for the past month and a half, 2 months. It's a little early for most of those to be implemented because they're still rolling out content that they designed, a year ago. But I hope those come. I hope the expansions we get explore more of the game, give us more to do, and I hope those quality of life changes happen quickly because a lot of the most fervent, passionate members of the community are really not satisfied with the game as it currently stands. Anyway, running out of time here. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and feel free to check out my other videos and stop by again next week. So, thank you. Bye now.